Hey guys, what's up? It's the Cultural Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm going to be doing a mini albums review where I talk about a bunch of albums that I clearly didn't have the time to talk about in full length, in individual formats. So actually, you know what? I'm not gonna project my voice today. I'm going to sound like this actually for the entire review. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about sonhos tomam conta. New album Corpos de àgua. So the first album I'm going to be talking about is the new sonhos tomam conta album Corpos de àgua. And yeah, Brazilian dream pop shoegaze artist sonhos tomam conta is back with a new album. And my small, tiny Spanish knowledge has informed me that this album means bodies of water, even though I know it's Portuguese, but it's probably similar, right? So, as expected, the album cover is a beautiful blue, watery album cover. Now, even though I really like and have enjoyed some of his past work, especially his collaboration projects with Asian Glow and Paranul, I honestly think that some of their output musically has been a little bit weak, and I feel like this album is just more of the same kind of stuff. It's super ethereal, washed out, reverby, shoegazy dream pop. Occasionally it mixes with bossa nova, and those moments are oftentimes the most interesting. And also, for some reason, the vocals felt weaker this time around. Maybe it's because they are mixed cleaner and crispier, so we hear more imperfections in their vocals. I think the album ending Trilhas de Agua is a really solid album ending with an explosive finish, but then we have this track that I really need to just note for a teeny tiny bit. Scarborough Fair is a dream pop shoegazified version of a traditional English folk song, which sounds like the weirdest thing ever, and it also comes off tacky. It sounds like it's trying too hard to be mystical and fantastical or something like that, but it just unfortunately does not work. So yeah, I mean, there are some pretty sounds on this album, but I am not gonna see myself revisiting this album. 6 out of 10. The next album I'm going to talk about is the new Astrophysics album, The Unending Need for Perpetual Motion. Speaking of Brazil, of course, I am going to review another Brazilian artist, and that is Astrophysics, who are a synthwave post-punk band from Brazil. And on this album, we have a lot of stiff drums and icy bass lines that, again, straddle between shoegaze, dream pop. Sometimes it's more post-punky. The post-punky moments on the album, for some reason, because of how stiff and icy it is, kind of reminds me of the Belarusian band Molchat Doma. But anyways, there are definitely a lot of highlights on this album that I really enjoyed. I really love the track Antithesis, which has a killer bass line on top of some shuffly drums. It's honestly some fantastic musicianship. And then, of course, Sonhos Tomam Conta is featured on the track Frigid, which, of course, leans towards a more shoegazy sound. We have the track Nothing But Evil, which is a pretty straightforward post-punk flavored track, except it's kind of moody, kind of strange. And the album ending Permanence goes for this 80s sci-fi movie soundtrack thing that I'm just not really a big fan of. There's still a lot of derivative moments on the album, and there are a lot of moments on the album that felt kind of basic. Overall, there are some highlights though, and I'm feeling a 7 out of 10. Third album I'm going to be talking about is the new BlackKeys album, Ohio Players. What? What the hell? Ohio Players? What does that mean? So yeah, on this album, the BlackKeys, legendary, iconic, not really iconic to everyone, but iconic to me, you know. I remember listening to the BlackKeys since I was a young boy. But anyways, this album sees the BlackKeys make an effort to make their sound more accessible and poppy. And yes, you know what that means. They fell off. The album opener, This Is Nowhere, sounds like a B-side to a B-side. It's like a leftover song. There's nothing that interesting about it. The hooks are not that catchy. The guitars are just so-so. And then the most head scratching moments on the entire album are the tracks where the BlackKeys decided to feature rappers on their music, like the track Candy and Her Friends, and also the track Paper Crown that features Beck, which is nice. I think Beck adds a lot of cartoonishness to the track. And then we have a feature from Juicy J on the same track, whose rap verse sticks out like a sore thumb. Literally, because the beat straight up changes and it's like it's not even a BlackKeys track anymore. There are some pretty good moments like the psychedelic slow burn track, I Forgot to Be Your Lover, and I also really like the track Read 'em and Weep, which has a more old school smoky garage rock that we're used to, but overall it's just a really forgettable album and probably the worst album the BlackKeys has released to date, feeling a 4 out of 10. The next album I'm going to be talking about is the new Civerous album, Maze Envy. So Californian death metal, doom metal band Civerous and their new album, Maze Envy, has caught a lot of people's attention. Honestly though, maybe I'm just not big enough of a metalhead. But I can't help but feel that a lot of this album is just meat and potatoes death metal. Not to say it's basic though. I'm not saying it's basic. I'm not saying it's average. It's still very excellent. There's still plenty of great moments on the album, but none of the moments really blew my mind or anything like that. Earlier this year, I reviewed the new Hope Lights album, which is also metal, black metal, bits of death metal, and that album is so much more interesting for me because of the sound play and the ancient Greek aesthetics to it. It's just really captivating. I don't really see any of that in Maze Envy other than some fantasy aesthetics, pastiche perhaps. The track Shrouded Crystals has some really crazy drum fills and key changes that I really like. Levitation Tomb has these icy, echoey guitars looming in the back throughout the entire duration of the track that gives it a strange, spooky feel. And I also really love the title track. It has some moody, dissonant string arrangements in the middle of the track that are easily the most interesting moments on the entire album. But that's as far as the album goes for me because I think the more metal parts of the album are pretty decent at best. That's pretty much just it. So yeah, I'm giving this new Civerous album, Maze Envy, a 7 out of 10. The next album I'm going to talk about is the new Gesaffelstein album, Gamma. So French, I think he's French, right? Yes. French electronic artist, producer, Gesaffelstein. Wait, hold on, I'm scared. If I recall correctly, he's French, but let me double check. Yes, he's French. Okay. So Gesaffelstein, Gamma, new album. Unfortunately, it's also the blandest album to date from him. On pretty much all of the tracks, he goes for some stiff beats and some deadpan vocals right off the bat. He's doing a bit of Depeche Mode, right? There are some pretty good songs here and there still, like The Urge, which I think is a really fun track. It's moderately catchy. I love the buzzing keyboards and the boom, boom, boom sound effects on the track. It's just really nice. And the last few tracks on the album are also very instrumental heavy, my favorite one being Psycho, which is a more straightforward banger. But a lot of the album just comes off very formulaic and one note. We have tracks like Lost Love, which of course, given the title, is a lovey-dovey sweet song. And then we have the album ending, Emmett, which is just very drab and spacey. So unfortunately, kind of disappointed with the album, feeling a 5 out of 10. The next album I'm going to talk about is the new J. Cole mixtape, Might Delete Later. And I'm not going to talk too much about the album because I've listened to this mixtape like a couple times, 3 times. I can pick up nothing from the album. It's just boring as hell. This is easily J. Cole's weakest release thus far. Of course, the most important track of the mixtape, the talk of the town, is the track 7-Minute Drill, which is a response to Kendrick Lamar's recent diss. Usually, if it was 2018 or 2019, I would comment on this diss, like, ooh, Kendrick Lamar beefing with J. Cole and Drake, 3-way beef. But, like, honestly, at this point in time, I don't even fucking care anymore. Like, I don't care about beefs anymore because they're boring. And part of me would like to believe that Kendrick Lamar dissed J. Cole and Drake just for publicity, like almost as a troll. Haha, I'm gonna diss you just because. Like, I feel like there's nothing personal about the diss. But anyways, J. Cole responded to Kendrick's diss, and then immediately after he went on a live performance and he apologized and pulled this diss track down from the mixtape, which is something that I respect a lot, actually, because J. Cole is being true to himself. He doesn't want to diss people. He doesn't want to start beefs. In fact, on the track Stealth Mode, he raps about exactly that. He doesn't want to be involved with beefs. But aside from that, this mixtape overall is just full of basic beats, corny bars, and it's nothing that special. Sure, J. Cole's delivery is pretty on point, and the beats are not the most boring thing ever. It's far from it. But still, it's very drab, and I have forgotten every single track off of the mixtape. It's really forgettable. 4 out of 10. And of course, I'm leaving the best for last because the final album I'm going to be talking about is the new MGK, aka Machine Gun Kelly, and Trippie Redd's new collaboration, genre Sadboy EP. Oh my god! So it's called genre Sadboy. It's like a parody. Genre sad boy. Ooh woo, so sad. Look at me in the album cover. So emo. Oh, it's laughable, okay? Like what the fuck is this? So obviously this is a cringe fest. This is like the kind of sad boy emo shit that 12-year-old, 13-year-old, Gen Z, Gen Alpha edgelords are feeding themselves with. This album is substanceless. It's hollow, and it's nothing but a bunch of fashion statements. And the worst part about the EP are easily the lyrics, because sometimes it tries so hard to be sad, it's actually funny. And my favorite line is, of course, have you ever cried in a limousine? Wow, so sad. Many wow. At some points, the EP actually sounds like a parody. There's also a track on the EP where JID is featured. Like, why? You're like a legitimately great rapper. Why are you doing? What are you doing here, bruh? What are you doing here? Now, that being said, though, this EP is not the worst thing ever. It is musically, instrumentally, extremely boring. Like, there's nothing interesting or new going on. It's like AI generated. Lyrically, it's terrible. But because musically it's not like offensively, degradingly bad, I wouldn't say it's a 0 out of 10. But again, the most offensive thing about the album, about the EP, is easily the lyrics. On the EP, Machine Gun Kelly and Trippie Redd spent a lot of time talking about suicidal thoughts and depression. And maybe they do actually struggle with these feelings. Who the hell knows? But what I can tell from the lyrics on the EP alone is that these heavy subject matters are discussed in an extremely shallow and sometimes even fashionable way, like they're trying to brag about it or something. Especially on the ending track where Machine Gun Kelly describes a hanging body, a beautiful corpse. Like, what the fuck? It's disgusting and kinda irresponsible. So yeah, I like watching movies and listening to music about depression and suicide. Like, I love dark things, but I only like it when it's done so in a tasteful and respectful way, and not in this fashionable, trendy way because it's cool or something. This just comes off really tasteless, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm giving this EP like a strong 1 to a like 2 out of 10. So have you listened to the new these albums? Comments below, let me know. Subscribe, you one more. Thanks for watching. I don't know what's wrong with my voice. For the last 2 months, I just can't fucking speak normally. I don't know why.